Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Kendra Moore. I am going live today for my segment to talk about one of the most popular things that causes Americans poor health and disease and just stress, and that is actually stress itself. So did you know, I'm going to start off with giving you some statistics here, and then I want to jump into what are some of the things that stress does to your body, and then what are the things that you can do to help manage your stress so that way you can live your optimal life, right? So here we go. So according to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, otherwise known as OSHA, stress is among the top 10 reasons Americans miss work. The American Medical Association estimated that up to 70% of all patients seen by general practice physicians show symptoms directly related to stress. And job stress can chronically raise blood pressure. Stress from lack of control on the job can even increase risk of heart disease. You also have some other causes of or other symptoms of stress include damaged blood vessels, increased susceptibility to infectious disease. You have the inability to digest your food correctly, ulcers, anxiety, high blood pressure, cardiac irregularities. You have a lower pain threshold, a lower sperm count, reduced sexual performance, anxiety, and depression. So all of those things are negative impact of stress. So what is stress anyway, right? Because we always hear about stress. There is a definition for stress. According to Medline Plus, stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It can come from any event or thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous. You do have times where stress can be positive because it is your body's reaction to a challenge or a demand. So, for example, a positive thing for stress, for example, like myself, I work really well under pressure. When I'm under pressure, I can focus in on a job assignment and really knock it out. That's a really positive use of stress, right? So another positive use of stress would say, for example, if you had the stress of having to move, or complete a big task, and you really focus in because you know you have to get something done by a certain date, and you get it done. That's really, really positive when it comes to stress because that's helping you to focus your thoughts, focus your energy on that task. Now, what's the difference between regular stress and chronic stress? So chronic stress is stress that stays with you all the time. Regular stress usually comes with an event meaning that the event has a start and then it stops. And once that event stops, then the stress is over. Chronic stress is when you are under that stress constantly stressed out. So whether it's, you're always stressed on the job. Maybe you're in a home situation that's causing you a lot of stress. Maybe you are around people, who you think are your friends, or maybe they are your friends, and they can be always causing you stress every time you're around them. In a school environment, kids experience stress all the time. Think about the high workload, or maybe it's, kids getting bullied or knowing they're going to get bullied going to school. That can be a state of chronic stress. So it's the chronic stress that starts to negatively impact our bodies and cause us to actually start physically malfunctioning. So I wanted to talk about this topic because when I talk about natural health and wellness, oftentimes we talk about our physical part, right? So we talk about exercise or, these types of things that can be seen on the outside. But a lot of things go on in the inside, and that's the inside things that we really need to make sure we have control over. So what happens when you are under chronic stress? When you are under chronic stress, the natural chemicals that are in your body, they elevate, and they stay at that elevated level. And that elevated level is what really has your body start to become toxic. So, a lot of times when we think about toxins, we think about maybe things that are environmental, cigarette smoke, maybe it's like, smoke from a factory, the things we might use in our home that might be toxic. But actually, if you're under chronic stress all the time, then those chemicals that would otherwise be healthy chemicals under normal stress circumstances build up, and they build and they build and they build, and they stay at that heightened level. And the next minute, your cells are actually starting to experience this toxic environment. And this toxic environment then also means that your body cannot start to use the nutrients, absorb the nutrients from the foods that we're eating. So now you have this depletion of nutrients, and you have this toxic environment. And depletion and toxicity are two of some of the things. I think there is actually in this book, Never Be Sick Again, he actually cites 6 things that actually causes our cells to malfunction. And when your cells malfunction, that is when your body starts to go down and it can't fight illnesses, and you start to open yourself up to a more disease-friendly state, right? So what you really want to be cognizant of is high stress is causing your body and causing your cells to be at a higher toxic state in a toxic environment, and it's depleting your nutrients. Depletion of nutrients and toxicity. Two things that are among, I believe in his book, 6, that contribute to, again, an unhealthy state of being. So what are some of the things that you can do to reduce your stress? Well, a couple of things I think that are very important is if you're in an environment or constantly around people that cause this chronic stress state, you want to make sure that you remove yourself from that situation as soon as possible, because those circumstances and people could literally be slowly killing you in the way that your body is not able to function that in the way that it should. So you have that. So removing yourselves from, again, stressful environment, stressful people. The other thing that you can do is exercise. So exercise has been known as scientifically proven to reduce your stress. So after exercise, I would say making sure that you have things around you that can help calm you down. So whether you love nature, whether you love music, nature and music, both, again, scientifically proven to help people reduce their stress levels. The other thing that I like to do is I use a lot of essential oils. So whether it's rubbing it on your body, whether it is you diffusing the essential oil, these are the ways that you can use essential oils. And there are essential oils that are actually great for relaxation, such as lavender, such as your floral essential oils, your orange or citrus-based essential oils. Hey, Izzy, thanks for joining, girlfriend. So you can use essential oils, and since we have Izzy Meditates, giving her a quick shout out, you can meditate as well. So be sure to check out Izzy Meditates because she has great meditations that you can follow. So meditation, being mindful when you're in situations or as you go throughout your day. So there are plenty of ways that you can actually reduce your stress levels and help your body to function in the way that it should. So that way you reduce your chances of, getting ill or causing disease just because you are constantly in stressful situations. So I know this can be a very stressful time. We're approaching the holidays. We still have COVID around. So I wanted to make sure to bring you this quick message on stress as we continue to go throughout the year. So that way you give yourselves a better fighting chance and that you're more conscious of the situations and the people that you are around. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and share because this information could be really useful to someone else. Oh, Kali Ma, stress can kill you. I have, okay, I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Nervous system dysfunction with no underlying cause. Learning a balanced, healthy life is crucial. I am now learning about meditation, organic, healthy living, and eating. That is awesome. Yes, Kalima, stress can kill you. I actually I know someone who is constantly in a high stress environment. She is also experiencing a lot of nervous system and a lot of, nervous system things, chronic pain, chronic inflammation, and, she's battling that. So thank you for that, because it is a real thing. And when you talk to people, and I find especially us as women, I think us as minorities, we are so used to being under stressful environments all the time, whether it's that we have to prove ourselves at work, whether it's when we're out in the street, the things that we, perceive or might be a reality, the way that people respond to us. Looking at, the cases that are happening now on television. I feel like if anyone, and for women, managing work and managing your household and your kids, and if you have a significant other, taking care of them, that can be really stressful. So I think women and minorities in particular, I really feel like we are always under this constant state of stress. And the dangerous part is that we're used to it. It's like this is just how it is. We've gotten to a point where we accept this state of stress, and that's not good, because at the same time, when you look at the health statistics for minorities in particular, my black and brown brothers and sisters, you see that we are always leading in heart disease and diabetes and whatever disease you can think of. We're always leading there, and I think that has a lot to do with our bodies aren't functioning the way that it should, and one of the reasons is that we're constantly under stress, and we've gotten used to stress. Kalima says, yes, we are under immense stress, especially as black women. We are always taking care of everyone and everything else except ourselves. And yes, I agree. And then when you do, it's even stressful to try to get away, right? To even try to get away to take care of yourself, because A, you feel like you're letting other people down, or B, people will say things to you like, "What are you doing?" Like if you just say, "Okay, I'm just going to take some time to myself just to decompress," people, they're like, "What are you talking about?" You know what I mean? So oftentimes you may not even be supported when you're trying to get away from it all, just to relax. Izzy Meditate says, yes, go all the time. The condition to believe we have to cover all angles. Callie Ma says, not to mention a healthy lifestyle comes with extra costs. Hello, that hits the nail on the head. So not only is it constant stress, and literally I have gone, now you guys got me fired up. I have gone into Target, into more minority communities, and Target in, communities that didn't have a lot of minorities, and what they carry in their grocery aisles are completely different. Completely different. It is hard to find a low sodium, low sugar version of something in some stores, and you can go across town and find all these healthy options. So that's why I also believe that, we see a lot of these community farms popping up. Those are really important, because for a lot of communities, those are the only ways or the only avenues that they have to eat healthy. So to Kalima's point, now you are under all of this stress. As I mentioned before, the stress is causing your body to produce all of these chemicals, right? These toxins, well, they're natural chemicals, but they become toxic because they're at such a high state. And then on top of that, you don't have the healthy foods that you need to nourish your body. So Charles Brakely says, good afternoon, Kendra. Good afternoon, Chuck. Glad you tuned in. Kali Ma says, for your own survival, sometimes you need to cut out everyone and everything that don't serve you, even your family. Yes. And Izzy is giving a shout out to Charles. And that is so true. And you have to be strong in order to do that. I mean, even thinking about going through that process can cause people stress, right? Knowing that there are people that you are going to have to cut out. It takes a strong person to do that. Sometimes, though, you don't have to cut out people all the way. Sometimes you just have to learn how to manage them. You know, if the conversation starts going down the path that you don't want it to go down, you don't have to like react out of anger, or, you know, you can just say, okay, well, you know, I gotta go make something up. I gotta go pick up, I don't know, little Bubba from the store, from school or something, you know what I mean? Oh, I forgot I have this appointment. Find a way to be gentle about ending the conversation. Or sometimes you can just tell people, you know what, I really don't want to talk about that right now. So I think there is a way that you can manage people. It takes a level of skill and some experimenting, and everybody that causes you stress, their personalities are different, so you might have to handle them different ways. But I am definitely a strong advocate of controlling time with the people that cause you stress. Yeah, so Izzy Meditate says yes, boundaries. So boundaries is a big thing. And Kylie Ma says, not to mention the education you need in order to make the best choices for yourself. So with the education, I 100% agree. So I try to stay, like right now, this book I'm reading, Never Be Sick Again, I read it on and off. And I have a lot of books like this. We do have to educate ourselves. I also feel, though, Kalima, that today, in this environment, we have the internet. So there is no reason why, well, I shouldn't say no reason, because I know some people don't have the internet or they don't have high-speed connection, so I understand that. You may not have access to the library, but as much as you can, yes, try to educate yourself, because as we say, if you know better, then you can do better. Izzy Meditate says, hello, Deborah McNeil. If you guys have any stress, de-stressing tips that you want to give, then let us know, because I know a lot of people, like I said, are always under constant stress, especially with the holidays coming up. I know that's very stressful. They were talking about traveling today, and how this week is going to be the biggest travel week since pre-COVID, because everyone is getting back into the swing of things. So traveling is always stressful. So I'm going to see if there's any more comments before I close. Thank you guys for jumping on and talking. The other thing that I want to say real quick is how stress starts to, Debbie said, hi, Izzy, please can you just call me Aunt Debbie. All right, so you got your orders, Izzy. So this talks about how stress can actually poison. So I talked about the toxins, and I talked about like how it deplenishes our nutrients. So we have some common stress symptoms. So that includes muscle wasting. So muscle wasting is literally what it sounds like, where your muscles literally start to like waste away. So chronic stress can cause that. Fatigue, so being under constant fatigue. Osteoporosis. So ladies, we know that osteoporosis is something that really starts happening to us when we're older, and so being in stressful circumstances also does not help that. So high blood pressure, fragile blood vessels, suppressed immunity, impaired mental function, and a host of other problems. And the impaired mental function, I know we've all experienced it. Like, I've literally been driving someplace, and I go to this place all the time, and I get a phone call or something like that, and it's all of a sudden I'm stressed, or I think about something and I'm stressed, and then next minute I'm turning down some random road and I'm lost. And I'm like, where am I going right now? Like, like what am I doing? Because mentally I shut down for, those few seconds. So the mental stress is something that's really big. The other thing is the way that our body has to process the natural toxins, that's in our system. One of the damages that can be caused by this chronic stress state is that you can actually start to damage your kidneys and your liver, right? And these are two organs that are so vital when it comes to managing. And we can really start to compromise those two really important organs, because they won't be able to function right in order to get all that stuff out of us. So we have Deborah McNeil. I want to say that don't stress over things you can't do anything about. Enjoy every day now. Time is so short. And we have Hadir. Hello, Hadir. I hope I'm saying your name right. Says hello. Hi, Hadir. Thank you for joining. And it's true. You have to, like the saying says, God gives me I'm forgetting it now. Oh, somebody put it in. The courage to accept the things that I cannot change and change the things that I can, or something like that. But it's very true. We do have to recognize those situations, and we want control over everything. I think that's our natural state, is because, and I think that's out of the good nature of our hearts. We feel like we should, if we had control, we can steer the situation or steer this person, and they can benefit, right? Because maybe we have a certain amount of experience, maybe we have a certain amount of education, and we really feel like, oh, if they only listen to me. And then you turn around and you stress yourself out trying to help other people out, right? So you have to know when to pump the brakes on situations and say, you know what, I need to let them walk their own path, just as I had to walk my own path and figure it out. So I love that. Don't stress about things you can't do anything about. Enjoy every day now. So I have a brief story about the enjoy everything now. I recently went to the Florida Blue Classic. So if you're not familiar with that, they're it's the HBCU, the largest HBCU football game that happens every year. This year was the 75th year of the Florida Classic. So it's the college FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. So they played. And so one of my very loving family members sent me a text message that morning. And she was freaked out for me because the amount of people that are there, and that I'm taking my son. So I think she was more freaked out over me taking him, and he's 14. And so she even brought up like, oh, I'll even reimburse you the ticket so you guys don't have to go out there. And my response was recognizing that she is telling me this out of her love and concern for us. But since I, am a believer, my response was, God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. And I plan to exercise all three of those things, as well as being very conscious of my surroundings when I'm out there. And, and she recognized that, and, the conversation ended up being fine. But the other thing I want to say is don't let other people put their stresses or their fears on you, right? You have to enjoy every day now, because as we've seen, we don't know what's going to happen next year. We don't know what's going to happen next month. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So as long as you are able to be in the present moment, enjoy that present moment, try to get rid of all this unnecessary stress. Some stress I understand. People are going through a lot. They may be going through medical situations. They may have some serious financial issues and things like that. So I'm not saying that it's impossible. I think it's impossible not to stress over anything. But I have to say that try to keep things in perspective. Try to put a plan together. If you are experiencing, you don't like your job, well, start putting a plan together to get out of that situation. Maybe you are in, a home situation you don't care for. Start putting a plan together, right? Your financial situation. Start putting a plan together. So it does no good to not like something and not work to change it. All you're doing is staying in that stressful state and, again, causing your body more harm than good. All right, so I am going to end it there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to More Life, Natural Wellness. I'm glad we had this conversation about stress. I pray that you take it with you and that you use it throughout your days, and I will see you next week. Bye.